Okay, so we've been talking a lot about the Trojan War, and you can't tell the story of the Trojan War without at least bringing up the Trojan Horse. It's probably one of the most famous parts of the whole story between that and maybe Achilles. Anyways, as most people know, the Greeks pretend like they are completely retreating and saying, hey, good job, Troy, we're going to offer this horse as a peace offering. So they leave behind Sinon, I don't know actually how you say it, says, hey, this is from Hera. He's going to offer it to the people of Troy. Now, not everybody in Troy was really willing to accept this Trojan horse. There's a couple priests and a handful of other people that were like, not too sure we should bring in this horse. Eventually, the people of Troy do bring in the horse, and as most people know, Odysseus and a handful of other Greeks are going to jump out of the horse, slay some of the guards. Menelaus, I believe, is in this horse as well. He is the king of Sparta. In fact, it's his wife Helen that gets abducted, that starts the whole thing in the first place. So they're going to slaughter the guards, open up the gates of Troy. All of the Greeks who had supposedly retreated will then run into the city, sack the city of Troy. Now, from there, this is when I don't think a lot of people know kind of the rest of what happens to the story. And this is where I think it gets really interesting. You have to play the Greek mythology into it, and the Greeks party pretty hard after sacking the city of Troy. The Greek gods aren't super happy with the way the Greeks are acting, and they are going to rain absolute hell on a lot of these Greeks. So, you need to look into how some of these Greeks made it home or didn't make it home, because a lot of famous players in the Trojan War don't return home. Achilles at this point he's dead. Ajax, who's another kind of influential person, he's a leader on the Greek side. He's going to be completely wiped off the map there. King Agamemnon, who's one of the major players in the Greek story, when he goes back to Mycenae, he actually gets murdered by his wife and the person that she is having an affair with, though that's a whole different story because King Agamemnon, before he goes, will sacrifice his daughter to make sure that these seas are good for sailing for him to get to Troy in the first place. So she's already a little upset with him, and then 10 years later when he comes back, he will kill her. Odysseus, if you've read Homer's Odyssey, he has 10 years to get home, all the trials and tribulations that he faces. There's a whole big Wikipedia article of kind of these people's struggles to get home, and a handful of them die. Again, the Greek gods play a role in that. And it's one of the reasons why the Trojan War is so fascinating, because there is a lot of myth involved in it. I've said archaeology does prove that there was a Trojan War isn't necessarily proven, though I think it's a cool story. There's plenty to look into with the Trojan War and the Trojan Horse. There's podcasts. Look up the Trojan War podcast. It's so good. Handful of YouTube videos per always. As always, though, I am running out of time. Hopefully you learned something. Love you all.